let's take a look at how to prune vines on the umbrella trellis. First thing to do when you step up to the vine is to assess it. Is it a large vine? Is it a small vine? Or is it an average vine? When you're pruning, you're cutting away 80 to 90% of last year's growth. So here you can see I'm cutting out the canes that were tied down from last year, which appears to be quite a bit of material. I'm going to be training 4 canes down to the wire in an arching manner. So everything else can go except for those 4 canes that I've chosen. Quite a bit of material here to prune away. It's always a good idea to cut last year's mummified fruit and rachises out to reduce the incidence of disease. It's always a good idea also to make close, clean cuts at the center of the vine. Just going along cleaning up the center of the vine here, keeping an eye on the 2 canes that I've chosen to retain, and spurring a few small things in the head of the vine for growing points for next year. So now you can clean up those 2 canes on the right side that I'm going to use and cut them to the proper length, which for this vine is 4 11 bud canes. Now we can move to the other side of the vine and do the exact same thing, selecting our 2 canes that we're going to keep and then pruning everything else away. The vine starts to take shape about now, and you can really see what the finished product's going to look like. Here I just left a spur in the head of the vine as a growing point for next year. Now we can just clean up the trunk of the vine, leaving a couple spurs for renewals for next year's growth, and just cut away anything that's not necessary. It's always a good idea to keep the trunk as clean as possible. Clean everything else that you don't need off the wire. Sometimes it's necessary to grab your loppers and cut off some parts of the trunk that aren't needed. Making these decisions now will save you time later. So we're now done pruning, and we can start tying the vine to the wire. Arch that cane up and over the top wire, bring it down to the bottom wire, and tie it with a twist tie. It's always a good idea to double wrap the twist ties to help hold the cane to the wire. Now we can move to the other side, doing the same thing, arching the canes up and over the top wire, down to the bottom wire, and securing them with a twist tie. You're going to hear some cracking of the canes while you're doing this. That's normal, but just don't bend them too far. And if when you're done pruning, if it's too cold and the canes don't want to bend properly, you can come back to tying them in a couple weeks. And now we're all done with this vine. Time to move on to the next. To learn more about grapevine pruning, click on these annotations to get to our intro video or any of the other pruning videos.